Hello and welcome to the second part of Sports Talk right here on Tameside Radio. I'm Mark Phillip and I'm joined by Quest Media Network's Katie Caffarel. Katie, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you, Mark. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Pretty excited for the Olympics in Tokyo. I mean, what are we now, 2 months away, something like that?
Yeah, we're not far at all, are we, for a massive event really that we've all been looking forward to for a long time, especially since we've not had a lot for a long time, sport-wise.
Definitely, and you've been speaking to someone that's going to be representing Great Britain in archery. She's a Paralympian. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Hazel has been taking part in archery for the past 9 years. She's been part of Archery GB for the past 7. She's now 48 and absolutely loves archery and found a massive passion for it. She was meant to go to Rio, but then had a neck injury, so that ruled her out of that competition. So she's been waiting for Tokyo, and she's looking forward to give it all she's got at this massive event.
Now, I guess the only downside to this is that there's not going to be any fans there. I mean, I was watching the parade when they've got the lantern running through, or the flame, should I say, and there was no one on the streets. If the finances were an issue, do you reckon it should have been postponed till next year just to get the fans back in?
I think so, definitely, because obviously it is such a massive event that is celebrated around the world globally, so it's something that people will travel far and wide to go to. So the fact that a lot of it will be televised broadcast now rather than actual people in the stands is going to be quite disappointing for people competing.
Does it take away from the actual event itself, do you think? I mean,
yeah.
It's for people around the world, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you had saved your entire life training to go to this event and then you got there and there was no crowds or a very limited amount of crowd, you feel a bit underwhelmed rather than in previous years. Definitely, I feel so. And
of course, locally as well, we've got Georgia Taylor-Brown. She's now based in Leeds, but she went to Ashton Sixth Form. She'll be representing Great Britain in the triathlon. Another great coup for Tameside, I guess.
Absolutely, I mean, it's incredible sports to take part in as well, all 3 disciplines, so she'll be looking forward to go there, definitely, even if it is the limited crowds.
And you've done a piece on Hazel on the back page of this week's Tameside Reporter and Glossop Chronicle. So if you do want to find out more on this story, then please pick up a copy of your Tameside Reporter and Glossop Chronicle. But Katie also spoke to Hazel, and this is what she had to say about her selection for the Tokyo Olympics.
I've been involved with Archery GB for 7 years now, but I've been shooting for about 9 years.
You started off at Goldcrest, is that right? Are you at Goldcrest now?
I'm at Goldcrest now, yeah, it's a brilliant club.
So how did you find out about your selection for the Paralympics? Like, how did you feel when you found out?
Just absolutely on top of the world. It's something I've worked so hard for the past 7 years. It's the one goal I've had in mind, as all athletes have in mind, the Paralympics or the Olympics. But to have it finally handed to you by Penny Briscoe, the chef de mission for the Paralympics, was just an incredible moment, a really cherry on top of the cake moment. The selection competitions were all the year before, so I had to win the place for Great Britain. That was in Holland in 2019, so we had to win the places there, but they weren't ours, they were GB's, and then we had to be selected for that position by showing that we were the best people for the job. But there hasn't been many competitions with the COVID world going on, so we've just had to just forge forward and hope that we showed that we could be strong enough to do it.
Have you got any other future aspirations and plans for after this, maybe?
I would like to go to Paris. I'm 48 now, so I'm clocking on a bit, although you can do archery well into as long as you're fit enough to do it. So I would like to go to Paris, the next Paralympics, and I'm hoping Tokyo is going to be fantastic, but obviously it's going to be pared back. People are being not allowed to travel and things like that, so it's going to be quite a pared back one, and mostly on television rather than with people shouting from the crowds. So I really want to go to Paris and experience one that's not restricted.
Yeah, of course, obviously, because Tokyo has been pushed forward and everything. What do you think the experience will be like? Do you think it'll still be quite amazing? Obviously, it'll be incredible either way, but what are you expecting to get from that?
For Tokyo, I'm expecting to be mega excited, and people that have been to an Olympics before and seen how perhaps it can be super hyped up and super busy, I'm expecting them to be a little bit still happy that they're there, but maybe they'll be a little bit down and saying, oh, well, in Rio it was like this, or London it was mega, but Tokyo's perhaps going to be a little bit more quiet. But, being a debutante anyway, I think it's still going to be really hit the mark for me, and I'll be able to say I am a Paralympian, and I think that's incredible.
Absolutely. And I read online that you have a few different hobbies. I've heard beekeeping something you quite enjoy.
Yeah, I do like beekeeping. I also do leathercraft, so I make quivers and things like that. So putting arrows in for friends, made a few. I do wood turning, so it's not your normal not your normal craft things, but I do like anything crafty. I also keep chickens, yeah, and I have 4 dogs, so it's crazy round.
Well, that was Hazel Chastel, who'll be representing Great Britain in archery at the Tokyo Olympics. And Katie, cricket is well underway now in the borough. That's great to see, because I thought at the start of the year it might not get going.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sport that, again, like many, has been postponed and cancelled for so long, so to see it actually be a part again now is fantastic.
Absolutely, and one of my former clubs, Denton, they're hoping to make their mark in the Greater Manchester Division 1 this season, and I spoke to Vice-Captain Ryan Bardsley to get his thoughts on the upcoming campaign, the difficulty of competing against other clubs with money, and much more.
Started the season playing Prestwich second team, started really well, managed to win, got a good win. It looked quite unsure at times, Prestwich built a good partnership, but it was great to get back out there, and we were so glad to get the win and get off to a good start. Played Adlington on Saturday. New team to the league this year. Wasn't sure what we expected. It went quite well, and even though we got beat, we've got a lot of positive to take from it.
Brilliant stuff. And you've had a lot of ins and outs over the winter. Tell us about some of the players that have left and some that have come to the club.
Yes, so obviously we've lost some lads who have been with the club for quite a while. We haven't got a professional with this year due to funds, due to being shut to COVID. So we've lost players to local teams like Denton St Lawrence and Denton West, but we've managed to recruit 1 or 2. We're hoping that a few of the old boys come back, so Andy Neal's brother Martin's come back to play this year, hoping to convince a few more to come back, and hopefully we'll get through the season.
How difficult does it make it though, knowing like you only had a few weeks training, didn't you, before the season started, and then you didn't know what squad you'd have? How difficult did that make planning?
It was a nightmare, because no teams had winter nets. You couldn't sign players because you wasn't sure whether the season was going to start on time. You didn't know whether the club was going to be open, so some teams that were going to spend money on players, you wasn't sure what budget you was going to have. So we kind of made the decision in the winter, a group of us, that we wasn't going to spend any money on players this year, not even spending money on a professional. We was just going to be club lads, lads who want to come, want to play for the club, want to spend money behind the bar. So it's worked out quite well. We've got 22 every week. The third team's going strong on a Sunday, and fingers crossed the season will be a good one.
And you told me earlier that the junior section's booming as well. I think you said there was 40 down there on Monday. That's encouraging.
Yeah, so we started our junior training last Monday. We had 44 children first week, similar numbers this week. It's been amazing. Luckily, from working at school, as I am, we've got a fantastic club school link. So we had about 14 children just from St John Fisher go down, which was unreal, to be honest with you. I'm so proud to see them go down. Each week it's just about continuing those numbers, and if we've got the juniors, we can build on those in future years for the senior team.
I was going to say, how important is it to have a junior section to lay the foundations for the future?
It's huge, because local cricket's changed massively, and without trying to say anything I shouldn't say, there's a lot of players now that are getting paid money when a couple of years ago they wouldn't have been being paid money, because there is a low shortage of good domestic players. So having that junior system and having those players come through you who are loyal to the club, who want to play for the club, who aren't going to go to another club for a bit of money, those players are vital, and that's what we're aiming to do.
Do you think that's part of the problem with local club cricket, the fact that players are being played and it attracts them and persuades them to join other clubs, when realistically they should stay loyal to one club?
I think so, but also I think the problem in Tameside is cricket is very, very densely populated in terms of clubs. You've got 3 clubs in Denton, you've got Forestfield in Hyde, you've got Hyde as well, you've got Newton, you've got Duckingfield. You've got so many clubs just in a local area that are all competing for the same players, and the only way you can kind of differentiate between most clubs sometimes is money, and most people, if you get offered a bit of money, you're going to take it, aren't you? So unfortunately we are in competition constantly. However, building that loyalty and building that for playing for your club is something we're striving to do.
And you mentioned that keyword money. I know that the club's not opening because of that reason. That's disappointing, but in these times you've got to do it, haven't you?
I mean, we faced a decision this year, and we every club's been struggling, and what we need to do is this year we just need to get through the year. We need to get through the year as well as every single club. So we've got to look after it, and I know lots of clubs, including our own, we've got money club draws being done every single week, which is raising vital money, and it's about just keeping the club going and keeping people in jobs, especially with our staff. and you know, there's been people going to that club for 30, 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
So it's important that we keep it going, especially when times are hard.
Absolutely, and if any players want to join the club, whether it be seniors or juniors, what days do they train on and how can you get in touch with yourself?
Yep, so juniors are on a Monday at 6:30. So there's myself down there, there's a few other coaches. So all the information's on our Facebook page and on our Twitter, so please just send a message to that, someone will get in contact with them. Or senior players, we train on a Thursday, we usually start a bit early at 6 o'clock, and we try and train until it goes dark, to be honest with you.
Brilliant stuff. And just finally, what's the situation with school sport at the moment? Are you getting back into competition with other schools or anything like that?
We're trying. We've managed just to get our first competition booked for the summer. Swimmers organised Quad Kids, which we're delighted to take part in. I know Year 6 are itching just to do anything. Doesn't matter what sport, they're just itching to do something.
Yeah.
So that's booked for July. So we're really looking forward to that. Again, depending on guidance, we'll try and maybe organise a bit more, but we're kind of in the hands of the government. But as soon as we can organise stuff and get stuff moving again, we are going to.
Well, that was Denton Cricket Club Vice-Captain Ryan Barsley talking about all things cricket at Edgerton Street. Now, one of the important issues there, Katie, that you mentioned was the money involved in club cricket. I mean, is it ruining it, do you think? Should players stay loyal to one club instead of moving to another for a bit of money?
It's funny because I think at the minute a lot of sports have been tackled with the problem of money, and it like ruining the actual standard of the game and like ruining players and how they perform. So I feel like it's people have mixed opinions on it no matter what you feel like, but obviously sticking with your club, you build up from there and you grow as much as you can, so that's always a nicer way to be rather than just swapping and playing for different prices.
I mean, it must be detrimental to a club's future. I mean, if you can't have that core group of players season after season, you don't know if you can put a team out. I mean, this season, for instance, I think they had 1 week to prepare. They didn't even know if the season was going to go ahead, so they had that 1 week to prepare, get a team together. And we're talking about people here that work full-time, maybe work weekends, so that makes it even more difficult, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's not something that they just spend their entire life doing. They do this alongside other things, so to not have that stability of knowing what's going to happen is obviously not great for the team at all.
Absolutely. Well, earlier this week it was announced that the Tour of Tameside is returning once again. That will be taking place at the end of July. Katie, the last time we spoke, or you were on the radio, you were telling me that you're training for the Greater Manchester Half Marathon. Does the Tour of Tameside tickle your fancy?
Do you know what? I might give it a go because it's right in the middle of the year between the half marathon and the start of the year, so it could be quite a nice thing to break off and see how my progress training-wise has been. So I'm fancying the X Trail maybe. It's a bit more exciting and a bit more, different climates to run on.
Do you not fancy the half marathon as well? As a little bit of a warm up for what you're doing?
It's quite a nice trail. The Longdale Trail they do is actually quite a nice one to run. It's quite flat and it's quite a simple route, so it could actually be quite a nice thing to try.
Are you brave enough for the Hell on the Fell though?
Oh, I'm not sure about that one. I haven't done that kind of trail for a long time, so I'm not too sure about that one.
Yeah, it is brutal. Well, the name suggests it is, and it absolutely is. And if you want to find out more on the Tour of Tameside, head to our website, questmedianetwork.co.uk. Well, Blaze Street Dance Academy in Ashton has been a hive of activity since restrictions were eased on April 12th. And during the lockdown, Managing Director Sammy Jo Hadfield has renovated her facilities and is in the process of building a fourth studio. I spoke to her about the response to her classes, future plans and much more.
We've been really, really busy, to be honest. Obviously, lockdown's affected a lot of our kids, but we have been running online sessions throughout the lockdowns on Zoom. We did something like over 200 Zoom sessions, but luckily we've got really good response of reopening, and all our classes are fully booked at the moment, so it's been really, really good.
Do you find that the kids are really eager just to get back in and do a bit of exercise, having been denied that over lockdown?
I think so, because it's affected kids a lot more than it obviously has adults. And it's not the same on Zoom, it's not, doing it from home and things like that, it's just not the same at all. But luckily most of our students have stood by us, we've had really good parents backing as well. So we've been lucky enough to stay open because they've carried on supporting us through the lockdown.
Brilliant stuff.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about the classes that you do offer people that come in.
Yeah, so we do from ages 2 years upwards. We do right up to adults. We're just advertising at the moment for our adult classes, parent classes, because we're not allowed to do them until the 17th of May.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've all been really, really busy, and we're getting new kids, new intake every single week. And like I say, it's not just girls, it's boys as well, are really interested in doing the flips and tricks and stuff like that. So yeah, they've done really well.
Great stuff. And I know in the past you've taken part in like Britain's Got Talent. Have you got any competitions coming up, or is that just out of the question at the moment?
No, we have got things in the pipeline. Sort of July time, we're hoping once the restrictions are lifted, that we can do that. But we've had all our teams training online, and they've progressed massively. So they're at a very high standard where they're just ready to go straight into comps now. So hopefully, as soon as the restrictions are lifted, we can go straight in and get a comp. Because obviously last year we missed out on comps, shows. We missed out on our presentation, and this year is Blazers' 10th anniversary of being open as well, so we've missed out on quite a lot, so we're hoping that it'll all come together soon.
Now, I've spoken to a lot of sports clubs since they've reopened, and they've taken advantage of grants and stuff like that. What's it like with dancing? Do you get a lot of money? Do you get grants and stuff like that?
We got the grants, but we've used it to our advantage. During lockdown, we've been doing a big makeover throughout the studio. We only had 3 studios at the start of lockdown, and obviously now we're doing another one, and it's going to be in Studio 4. So we've took advantage of obviously using these grants, getting everything done up, and it's nearly finished now. So we'll be able to rent that room out and we'll be able to use it ourselves as well, because obviously we're so busy.
So you mentioned the adult classes. May 17th. Was it? How do people get involved with that? How do you contact?
So we're on Facebook. We're on Facebook and we're on Instagram as well. So if you want to get in touch, I mean, it's an open class. We do a fitness class as well, a women's only fitness class as well. That's currently still online. So if anybody wants to get in touch, Blaze Street Dance Academy on Facebook, or Blaze_Street_Dance_Academy on Instagram.
Well, that was Blaze Street Dance Academy Director Sammy Jobe Hadfield talking about the renovations to her facilities in Ashton. Now, Katie, I for one can't wait for the football season to begin. Locally, our teams will be starting in August. Well, pre-season will be taking place in July. It's been a bit weird because 2 seasons now, it's been null and voided. Hopefully it's going to be third time lucky.
Yeah, I mean, I think the massive conversation around the Euro Champions League really did bring back how important grassroots is and how important it is to support your local teams rather than going up to a bigger team, especially when now they've had a lot of funding for a long time. It's nice to get back in and just be in that community feel. What
did you make of that Champions League issue? Just for a little bit of conversation. I mean, I spoke to a lot of people. I've not found one person that supported it. What was your opinion? I mean, it spoke massively, didn't it, with everyone complaining about it, because I think it just really took away what football is about and has been about for so many years, and why we love it as a sport. Putting that much money and putting that much thing into football is not what people want to support, and it's just going to drive away the real fans and just have people that are going just for the sake of it. Again, it comes back to money. Is money ruining not just football but sport in general, like we said before with the cricket? Is money just ruining sport? Yeah, I think so. It just seems that people are so invested in money now and so invested in what they can profit out of something that it's not as important of the actual sport, and the actual football ahead, rather than just how much people can gain from it profitable wise. Do you think after the fiasco that supporters of Manchester United and Manchester City, they might want to return to traditional football? They might want to try out the local clubs like Curs and Ashton United, Staley Bridge. Would you class that as traditional football, what it's all about? Yeah, definitely. I mean, the grassroots is what it stems from, isn't it, really? So I feel like a lot of people will go back to the original clubs and find the passion for it that way instead, rather than putting money into these massive clubs that could betray them at any point, like they almost did. Absolutely. Well, one of the clubs who are eagerly awaiting next season are Ashton United, and their Hurst Cross Stadium is undergoing a makeover ahead of next season in the Northern Premier League Premier Division. So in a bid to give the ground a new lease of life, new perimeter fencing is being installed around the pitch to replace the long-standing white wall, whilst new seats will also be fitted in the main stand. The players' dugouts are also set to be spruced up, and during my visit to Hurst Cross, I spoke to Secretary Andy Finnegan about how he's finding his full-time role, the excitement surrounding the return of football, and the club's successful food pantry scheme.
Initially, I'm just excited to sort of, have some work on the ground, because it's great. The chairman's obviously forward thinking, he's looking positive, he's looking towards the future, and thinking ahead to the football season. Yeah, of course, we all want football back here at Hurst Cross, don't we? And it's exciting times. The manager's got a few people to bring in. He's been playing for the last 2 or 3 weeks. That's been going well. Got a great relationship with the manager and all the backroom staff and all the players as well. So yeah, it's really exciting, and we just want to get it going now.
I know you've got great community links up here. You've launched a food pantry. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Well, that's initially was born out of the action that we did in March. You know, when the first lockdown came, we started doing activity packs for the children because they were off school, and then it sort of develops into the summer holidays where we accessed some lunches from Asda. We got some funding from Asda, and they provided lunches for the children, and then we thought, well, could we offer a little bit more? So the last week of July we decided to do like a little bit of the pantry, and it just escalated from there, and we've been doing a pantry now since that last week in July to now. 2 weeks ago we moved from the football ground over to Cedar Park, which is just a short distance away from here, and it's in the Tameside Youth Building, and it's a great little setup there. Obviously I've managed that, I've opened that, and it's just great to perhaps put on the CV, like at my age, you know. So yeah, it's good. Really excited about that as well.
And you've been taken on at the club full time now. I know you're delighted about that.
I've always done the secretary's job as a volunteer, but when I was off work for 12 months, I had a high palsy, and then I did about 10 hours from January to March, and then in March the community development manager left, and then they offered me the position, so I sort of considered it, and after 30 years as a driver, I thought, yeah, I think I'll do it, because it's a passion of mine, football anyway.
Well, that was Ashton United secretary Andy Finnegan talking about his full-time role, the excitement surrounding the return of football and the club's successful food pantry scheme. Katie, it's great to see that a long-serving volunteer has been rewarded with a full-time position.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you put your heart and soul into the club and into an establishment for so long. It's so nice to be rewarded with something that is actually meaningful, and you can actually show something from it, how much effort he's put in over the years.
And the club's food pantry scheme, you know, getting out there during these difficult times when families are struggling for money, they can't provide food for the families, you know, that's great to see that a club isn't just about 90 minutes on the pitch.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you find that a lot now, that clubs are so much more involved in the actual community and how much more they can give back rather than just the sport, which is incredible. And obviously, at the time people are in most need, it's amazing that they can do that.
And of course, if you do want to help out at Ashton United, they're always looking for volunteers, especially now as they're trying to do up their Hurst Cross Stadium. So yeah, it is great to see that Ashton United are getting out into the community and giving back to the people who support them. Well, as usual on Sports Talk, I was joined by Betfred's Peter Spencer to reflect on the success for Manchester City and Manchester United in the Champions League and Europa League respectively. We have the latest outright odds for the Champions League and Europa League, and we have a few odds ahead of this weekend's Premier League fixtures. There's two games we've got to talk about, the obvious ones. City's victory at PSG in the Champions League on Wednesday, and then United's 6-2 win against Roma in the Europa League on Thursday. It's great for the City of Manchester, that.
It's absolutely brilliant. I mean, they both came from behind, so it shows supreme character in both teams. I thought City a little bit got out of jail because not starting with no striker, and then the goals, you've got to say, were a little on the lucky side. But I mean, it was a cross from De Bruyne, and then the wall opened up for Mahrez's second. So in that argument, you know, Guardiola probably did get a little bit out of jail there, because he would have been lambasted if City hadn't made the most of the masses of chances that they created. But you know, who are we to argue? It's a 2-1 victory. The Betfred now have them 8-13, obviously odds on to win the Champions League outright. PSG have drifted to 10-1. I still think there's more to come in that tie, with the players that they've got. But it was amazing how they capitulated in the second half. From, you've got to say, edging the first half and having a lead at that stage. So and they have got the players who can cause problems in that second leg next Tuesday at the Etihad. City are 3-4 to win that game with Betfred. A draw, which is a distinct possibility in the second leg, is 3-1. PSG 7-2, and Chelsea are now the most likely opponents for City in the final in Istanbul, and I know a lot of City fans are sweating on whether the Turkish lockdown will be over in time. Officially it is, but if it's extended or there's still problems in that area, it's whether the British government will allow the fans to travel there and, more to the point, return without any isolation.
Yeah, well, hopefully fans can make the journey to Turkey, but that's if City do manage to reach the final. The ball is firmly in their court now. Peter, very quickly, this weekend in the Premier League, City can win the title at Crystal Palace. What are the odds looking like for this one?
Yeah, well, City are huge favourites, 1-500 to actually win the Premier League. United 80-1, the only ones who could get, you could catch them. So City at Palace. Be interesting again. He might bring his reserves back. We might see Sterling, Aguero or Jesus. I mean, who'd have it? What sort of a team has reserves like that? They could put the second string out and they'd be in it.
Yep.
So Sterling, 5-1. I've been a little unlucky to miss out at this key stage of the season, but he isn't putting that ball in the onion bag.
No.
He's lacking confidence.
So inconsistent.
Yeah. You now start thinking why Liverpool let him go in the first place. Guardiola did turn him round and get lots of goals out of him, but they've dried up now, and Foden's overtaken him because Foden's got the same trickery, the same pace, yet he has a shot at the end. His final ball is that much better. Anyway, Sterling's 5-1 to score first with Betfred. Aguero 3-1. I just hope he gets a swan song to his brilliant City career, and this is a great opportunity to start to play in that game. Jesus 9-2. City 4-11 to pick up 3 points. If City get all 3 points and then United lose, then it's City's title. And the City fans, it's Sunday best for them at tea time on Sunday after United have played Liverpool. Palace are not a bad team. They might catch City at a good time. Anyway, they're 8-1 to get all 3 points. A draw's 4-1.
Well, it could be a memorable day in London this weekend for Manchester City, and it was a memorable night on Thursday for Manchester United supporters. They beat Roma 6-2 in that Europa League semi-final. Peter, first of all, what was your assessment of the game? It was great to see United come back.
Well, I mentioned before the character of the team. Solskjaer was being lambasted by the pundits at half-time. Where's Greenwood? Needs to change the team. He stuck with them. I'd love to have been in that dressing room because he would have said, look lads, Paul Scholes and the rest of them are having a pop at you on TV now all over, and it's going all over the world. Yeah. Are you going to turn this round? You are the better team. You should be imposing yourself. Yeah. And that man, Cavani, what an absolute class act. I mean, any young kid watching that should think about the intelligence that's needed to be a striker in modern day football. Yeah. His movement was phenomenal. This is a 34-year-old bloke pulling the defenders all over the place. And, you know, as all Italian teams are, they at least have decent defenders, and they certainly did. Roma the other night, and they were being dragged everywhere by Cavani. He scored 2 goals. He got a penalty that shouldn't have been. He set up the other one.
And he had 2 assists, didn't he?
Yeah, he was the key man for United. And Solskjaer should be doing absolutely everything to keep him there, because he'll save them a fortune. They won't have to go for Haaland, they won't have to go for Harry Kane, although they'll probably be in on it, or we'll read about them being in on it anyway. But with a player like that on the books, his movement, Greenwood should be looking at him and thinking to himself, if I'm half as good as him on movement and intelligence, I'm going to be a superstar too. Yeah. It was a phenomenal performance by him, and I can't believe that some of the papers have only given him 8 out of 10, because I'd have given him 10 out of 10. Yeah. You can't do much better than that.
You know what,
2 goals, 2 assists, 1 poxy penalty.
You'd be devastated if you're a United fan and you don't see him in person at Old Trafford or play in person.
Yeah, well, that's one of the arguments that Solskjaer is going to be using. That he's going to say, look, you haven't seen the best of Old Trafford because you have not heard the Stretford End roar. And if you heard that, you'd be wanting to stay too. Yep. I mean, where's he going to go? Back to South America? Well, all right, he's a hero there as well, but it's not going to be like playing on the ultimate stage, which is Old Trafford. Yep. And in the Champions League next season, because United are bound to get second place. I think that Solskjaer has a different philosophy to Guardiola in terms of his selection. He generally doesn't change the team around that much. So it may well be that Cavani does play against Liverpool on Sunday. He's 4-1 with Betfred to score the first goal. Salah's a favourite at 3-1. Greenwood, who I think will probably get a full game in that match to get his match fitness up again, he's 5-1. Fernandes, the phenomenal Fernandes, 9-2. And Pogba, who's coming back into decent form, he's 12-1 to score first. But Liverpool are the favourites in that game because they're chasing a top 4 finish.
Yeah, they've got to win, haven't they?
They've got to win.
Yeah.
Whereas United's point of view, they've secured second place anyway, and they're definitely going to play Champions League football next season. They're 9-5. The draw, which is always a potential likely result, and 1-1 is quite regular as well in these fixtures between United and Liverpool. That's 5-2. For the Europa League, United now odds on 1-2 to win the Europa League, and Roma, guess what they are? 150-1 to win the Europa League after that absolute humiliation.
Yeah, I won't even putting 20p on that myself. No chance.
No. Well, they could maybe. But no, it's no chance. There's absolutely no chance. This is going to be United, and Betfred can't separate Arsenal and Villarreal. They're both 7-2 to win the Europa League.
Brilliant stuff. Well, it's been great speaking to you once again, Peter. And if you have been watching this, don't forget you can take a punt on any of the fixtures this weekend via their app and online, but you can also bet in store because we've got safety provisions in place. Well, our thanks as always go to Betfred's Peter Spencer for providing the latest odds ahead of this weekend's fixtures. Katie, been great to see you again. Thanks for joining us. Will you be on next week?
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm afraid that is it for this week's Sports Talk. However, if you do want to find out more local sport news, you can head to our website, questmedianetwork.co.uk.